for Raymond. Raymond to the slot, fires, scores! Into the backhand shot.
Pretty good hands by Lucas Raymond. You got to have fast.
Lucas Raymond, stick handling in. Raymond, what a move! Fires, scores! Wow, what a shot! What a move, Lucas Raymond!
I don't know if Lucas Raymond can two-step.
Raymond, he shoots, scores! Lucas Raymond.
He's got his head up the entire
Karlsson. Magemo vinner tillbaka, Lucas Raymond!
Welcome to Hockeytown. Lucas Raymond, everybody, with the 4th overall pick. Steve Yzerman selects the Swedish winger. You're looking at our reactions when we all heard that it was Lucas Raymond. Art already said he was right. I know that we have to have some eyewitnesses that he did not pick Lucas Raymond, but he does think he was right on that one, you guys, and none of us were, but surprise, surprise, Steve Yzerman had a different plan than all of us did. Art, give me your initial reaction to the pick of Lucas Raymond at 4th overall.
Well, certainly last year at the Summer Showcase at the USA Arena in Plymouth, where teams from Finland, Sweden, the United States, and Canada all participated, it was like a pre-World Junior tournament to pick their respective teams. Lucas Raymond was really kind of the talk of that tournament, as far as he was right up there with Alexis Lafreniere, that he was a very, very high draft pick. He had some injuries, kind of slowed down a year, went into the men's league, played, stepped up in competition, but he's a complete player. He's a slick puck handler. He's an offensive catalyst. He's able to get things done. I think that was a pretty impressive highlight reel that we just saw about him. As Ken and I, when we talked about, when we both said Alexander Holtz, who's going to be going shortly, I guarantee you that Raymond was maybe a little bit more complete player, not meaning that he couldn't score goals, but he likes to set people up. He's a dynamo, not very big, 5'10", 161 pounds right now, can be, maybe pushed off the puck a little bit, but that will come with time as he gets older and put some weight onto that body. So I'm not surprised. I know that we had Kevin Allen on the WOW show last week, or the Word on Woodward show, and and he said that he was hearing that the Red Wings really, really like Lucas Raymond. Well, Kevin heard something right, because that's exactly, they certainly did, because they made him the number 4 pick.
Yes, Art, you're right. And you know what? Corey Pronman from The Athletic actually had Lucas Raymond and at his 4th overall rated prospect. We've had him on the Word on Woodward a couple of times. So there are some people that suspected this. We did not. Again, it's not really a surprise. I like the pick. I think it's great. Carley, Ken, let's get your reactions. Carley, what are you thinking?
I think it's a good choice. I mean, you really can't go wrong with a Swedish player wearing a winged wheel on his sweater. I mean, come on, look at the history of the team. But he's a quick player, which will be good for our forwards. And, we just really do need a dynamic winger right now. As Art was saying, he's a kind of a small guy, so that's something he'll have to develop. Maybe he'll develop down in Grand Rapids. Who knows if he'll come over to the States to play? Who knows what the next steps are? But I do think he's a hard worker. I've read up a little bit on him. Seems like he's a good puck stealer. So again, we'll see if he has some development in the coming years, if he'll come right to the Red Wings, go to the Griffins, or if he'll stay at home. I don't know. We'll see. But I do think another Steve Yzerman curveball. I know we mentioned him a few times on the stream and throughout the past few weeks of us covering the draft, but not one of the main names we were talking about, which is definitely the Yzer plan. He always throws us again a good curveball, but I think it's something really cool to look at. It's someone new that we haven't really chatted about, so I'm looking forward to seeing Ken's reaction to the number 4 pick. What are you thinking, Ken?
Well, I can tell you this right now. There's going to be a TV show here in Detroit called Everybody Loves Raymond. And why not, right?
Yeah, Ken.
Why not? Because
that's a Kenism. I love it.
Lucas Raymond, he's a solid player. And I know it kind of caught me by surprise because, again, I thought the Red Wings would go with the shooter. The thing is, Raymond's a really good all-around player, both on the defensive side of the puck and also on the offensive side. He's highly skilled. As Art mentioned, he's not very tall. tall, and Carley mentioned it too, 5'10", but he's got a chance to build that frame up a little bit. And I just think that, as Carley said, you can't go wrong with a Swede. I mean, we've had so much success with Swedish hockey players from Lidstrom and Holmstrom and Zetterberg and Kronwall, you just name it. I think down the road he's going to be a really terrific player. And again, I don't know if I want to say it caught us by surprise, but I certainly thought that they would go with the shooter. But, you know, Steve Yzerman said, he said, we're going to get a good player at number 4, and certainly Raymond is a solid player, and I think he's going to be a fan favorite because everybody loves Raymond.
For those of you that are tuning in to us right now and not watching the draft, Jake Sanderson, defenseman, just went 5 overall to Ottawa. And we talked a lot about the 2 defensemen in Jamie Drysdale and Jake Sanderson. Sanderson was the first off the board. Ken, I wanted to ask you a follow-up question because you were talking about Sanderson kind of moving his way up the rankings. And we also talked about how the draft really opened up after the top 3 picks, which went exactly as we expected with Alexi Lafreniere, Quentin Byfield, and Tim Stützle. But hey, it really has opened up. No one projected Lucas Raymond 4 and then Jake Sanderson 5.
Well, here's the thing, Daniella, is everybody was talking about the team that takes a defenseman will probably go with Jamie Drysdale. Now, he's going to drop lower into the draft. But the thing about Sanderson is that he's got good genes connected to him. His dad played in the National Hockey League. And he's a swift, smooth skating defenseman. I think more on the defensive side as opposed to the offensive side. But he likes to join the rush. And Ottawa's got a good defenseman there in Sanderson. But again, Jamie Drysdale, I thought, again, shows you how much we know or I know. I thought he would go higher than Sanderson. That's not going to be the case this year.
Art, now I'm going to ask you the 1, 2, 3. We saw no surprises there. We thought maybe there would be a chance that Ottawa would go off the board and not take Stützle, and maybe he would fall to Detroit. But do you think Lucas Raymond has been the plan for the Red Wings for a long time?
Well, it certainly seems that the people that in the real know kept saying Raymond. You know, you could hear that underneath. But, again, I think by Steve taking Mo Seider last year, I think what happened is that some of us began to overthink it, not really kind of, look at it and try to, what angle, what's Yzerman going to do? Where is he going to go? Oh, he's probably going to go goaltender. Oh, he's going to go defenseman, because in the beginning, Jamie Drysdale was head and shoulders the number 1 pick. But as Kenny alluded to earlier, that Sanderson was moving up. And it was almost like 1A and 1B. So I guess I'm not that surprised that Sanderson went 5th overall to Ottawa. Am I surprised about Lucas Raymond? I guess I'm not surprised by Lucas Raymond because he's a highly skilled Swedish player, and the Red Wings need highly skilled players. And Anaheim just took Jamie Drysdale, so there you go. I mean, like we said, 1A and 1B, 5A and 5 or 6A, I guess, whatever. But, Sanderson and Drysdale are now off the board, so Lucas Raymond, and if you look at it, the 2 guys that are people, when they look at how the top 10 shakes out, maybe Raymond and Sanderson at 4 and 5 might be the surprises of where they actually went, especially since Cole Perfetti was supposed to be going to the Red Wings. That seemed to be the real hot pick. We heard a little bit about Marcus Rossi. And so I again, look at the Red Wings' history. Look at their history not only with European players, but with Swedish players. They're very comfortable. Håkan Andersson, their super scout, is one of the guys that Steve really, really trusts. If you look at all the Europeans they drafted last year, many of whom had really good seasons last year after the Red Wings drafted him. So I guess I'm not surprised. I might be a little bit surprised because they didn't go with Holtz, who is the pure scorer, the guy who's the goal scorer, and I thought maybe that's what they would go with. Not that the Red Wings aren't in a position that, we have the luxury of getting a goal scorer, but I think what they went with the more complete player, a more complete package, who can play both ends of the ice, can not only score goals, but can also dish out. So, Lucas Raymond, as we've been saying, welcome to Detroit. Obviously, Mo Seider might have been a bit of a stretch last year by some people. I think once people start really talking about it and looking at it and seeing how this draft is going to play out, I think everybody's going to think that, man, you know what, maybe Lucas Raymond did make sense to the Red Wings at number 4.
Well, and the interesting thing, too, is I know we can speculate all we want. We can read articles about these players, but people like Steve Yzerman and Chris Draper, scouts and GMs, they're the ones that are going all over the world to see these players in person. Right. So again, we can speculate and theorize, but we're not seeing what they're seeing out on the ice. So that's a hard part about trying to guess where someone can go when you're just reading articles about someone talking about how they saw Cole Perfetti or Jamie Drysdale play. They're not actually seeing them in gameplay like people like Chris Draper and Steve Yzerman are. That's the interesting thing about trying to, if you will, mock up a draft like we have been throughout the stream.
Definitely, Carly. A really good point, because everybody kind of has their own mock draft in their head. And there are some writers and all of that, NHL draft gurus that do travel and watch all of these guys play, but nobody watches them as much as the scouts. So it's really hard to predict what direction anyone's going to go in. And Ken, a question for you again. We've talked about how heavy the forward draft is, how heavy this draft class is in the forwards. 2 defensemen are off the board already, 6 picks in. Does that surprise you at all?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. But then again, I would think that Drysdale or Sanderson would have been up a little bit more. But they went back to back, so that really doesn't surprise me. Just going back to the Red Wings, though, Daniella. Now what we're seeing here in Detroit is we're actually starting to see some depth in the forward position. And think about it. We've got Zadina, who's just starting to turn the corner, and he was really playing well before he was injured last year. So you got him up front now. Robbie Fabry, he can score. Anthony Mantha, Larkin, Bertuzzi. Now Raymond can come in and he can provide some offense. And then you keep in mind that Joe Veleno down the road is a guy that can probably step in and put some points on the board. Now we're seeing what the future of the Red Wings is all about. And we're seeing these young guys that certainly will have a team in the future for this Detroit Red Wing team.
Go ahead, Carly. I'm sorry.
And now you got to think too. I know we have a few picks in the next couple rounds, the next few days here, but you got to think. So we don't have that depth on the blue line. So does that give you guys a little more hope that Seider will be up next year? I mean, I think so. I think he really made a splash in the AHL for the Griffins, but that is something to look at as well, knowing that we kind of have a thin blue line right now. I know we just got Stahl, but that's you got to look at the blue line and think that we do have a lot of forwards, not all goal scorers, like we were kind of mentioning with Lucas Raymond not being that dynamic goal scorer. I think Art was the one mentioning that, but that is something you have to look at now. Now what? I know we're going to get a few guys, like I said, in the next couple days, but are they going to be development players or are they going to be Detroit Red Wings?
Right. Well, what is the next step? Because that's a very valid point, too. There's a lot of these prospects that are coming up, and most of the prospects that we have right now have had the chance to play in Grand Rapids or, have spent some time with the Red Wings. But when you look at a guy like Lucas Raymond, who is the 4th overall pick, Art, what are the next steps for him? Is he going to stay in Sweden and play over there? Are we hoping that there's an AHL season and he's playing in Grand Rapids? Or are we hoping that he might be on the Red Wings roster?
Well, I think at this point, and even kind of alluding to what Carly was saying, I think Mo Seider is going to have every opportunity to make the Red Wings this year. I mean, he's in Mannheim right now playing. Frölunda could be the best Swedish program in the Swedish Hockey League, and that is where Raymond is at. I am not so sure just because of his size, and I know size isn't as crucial an issue as it used to be in the NHL, and it's not so much at 5'10". Heck, I long for the days of being 5'10". You know what I mean? But I would say that it's the weight. It's 160 pounds because this is a men's league. I mean, you're going to have some big boys. I mean, look. We talked about Anthony Mantha. Look at the BT Express. He's 6'5" and 235 pounds. You're going to have Lucas Raymond, an 18-year-old kid at 161 pounds. You try to take the puck away from him? Right. Maybe he can do it. I'm not saying he can't, but if he's going to do it, that's going to make the BT Express angry. And what's the BT Express going to do? He's going to hit him into the boards because he's angry. So I'm just telling you, I mean, he needs to put up I think he needs to put up a little bit of weight. That's the only thing I have about him right now. So Holtz just went 7th to New Jersey, so I wasn't that far off.
Okay, all right.
I
Yep, you're done.
You can't pat yourself on the back for that.
I wasn't that far off. All right, so way to go, Art. Give yourself a Carly pat on the back.
Doesn't count.
Art, you threw 100 names on the board. One of them's going to stick.
Exactly. I'm not verifying that back pat.
Just call me horoscope, Ken. Something's about to be right. I'm going to get it right eventually.
You're like a weatherman, Art. It's just for the Detroit Red Wings.
Really, parents out there, I know your kid's a really good hockey player. Send him to meteorology school. You don't have to be right, and you get paid a lot of money. But with that said, really getting back to the point at hand, I think that Holtz is in a good situation now in Europe. I think he's playing on an excellent hockey club in Frölunda. I mean, they have it down. They've been producing players for a long time. Rasmus Dahlin, I think Gus Lindstrom is there right now with Holtz too. So maybe they can build up a little bit of a camaraderie and a little bit of a rapport. So depending on how this plays out, do they want to get him to Detroit? I think they want to get him to Detroit, see what he has, maybe give him a bit of a workout program. But depending on where the AHL is at, and even though the NHL, if there's no AHL season, I think they're going to expand the rosters. I think that would be that. But it's probably, for an 18-year-old kid like Lucas Raymond, it's probably better put him back in that familiar situation with Frölunda in Sweden. Let him play there. Let him perfect his game a little bit more. Let him put on some muscle mass, a little bit of weight, and then see what you have in training camp 2021.
Carly, what do you think? I know Art's talking about that he may stay in Europe and play. We've had a lot of Red Wings prospects that have actually been loaned, and some Red Wings as well, Philip Hronek being one of them, loaned to European teams to play over there, hopefully until training camp. Do you see that being what Raymond might do? Do you think we'll see him at Red Wings training camp, or do you think we might have a couple of years before that?
I don't know if I'd so much say a couple years, but I don't think it's going to be right now, just because we heard Commissioner Bettman say we're hoping January 1st start time. I mean, when you think about January 1st, it is not that far away. 2020 is almost over, people. But when you think about it, it's not that far away. So that's not a lot of time to develop. Like we were saying, 5'10", 160. That's not a big guy for the NHL. I mean, he was playing a while back in Europe, but when you bring him over to the big leagues, you're not going to get people who are the same size as you. You're going to get, like Art was saying, Anthony Mantha or anyone, Zadina Chara coming at you. It's not going to be the same. So I do think he needs to bulk up a bit, put a little meat on, work on that development. But you know what? Maybe he has that kind of speed and that stick handling that he doesn't need to worry about getting checked into the boards. Maybe he can just deke around him. Who knows? I mean, I'd like to see him more. I don't think I did as much research on him as I would have liked to, because he wasn't, again, I should have known. I should have known with Yzerman. You should look at the guys who aren't prospected to be at the number 4 pick. But again, I don't think he will be in Detroit right away. We'll see. I would say we'll see how his first year goes. I don't know if he'll be in Europe or he'll be with the Griffins, but we'll see how his first year goes, hopefully in the AHL, and then go from there.
One of the things I think, if I can jump in right here, is the thing about Steve Yzerman and the Red Wings right now, they're not going to rush a player. And if he's not ready to play in the National Hockey League, then he's going to get a seasoning somewhere else, whether it be in Grand Rapids or overseas. The other thing that we need to talk about, Daniella, Art, and Carly, is the fact that where does Askarov, the goaltender, go now? I mean,
almost forgot about him.
Some of these teams right now, they're picking, and he's a good prospect. I wonder what team is going to get him.
Well, I've got word that he has told everyone through an interpreter that he will only go to Detroit.
Oh, is that so, Art?
He's holding out till maybe even the second round. Then you think we?
I guess his agent he changed agents at Sergei Fedorov. So who knows? Ask her off to Detroit somehow. Thank you, Sergei.
Ken, just to follow up with you, we're talking about Lucas Raymond and his size, not being the biggest guy. How much does that actually matter in the NHL?
Well, Art brought up a good point about it's not so much his 5'10" frame. It's about putting some weight on and getting some muscle and being able to compete with some of the bigger bodies in the NHL. Now, if you're highly gifted as far as highly skilled, which he is, maybe you can get around that fact. I mean, you look at some players like DeBrincat with Chicago. He's not a very big player, yet he finds a way to get the job done. Barzal's the same way, and he's a crafty hockey player, but he needed some seasoning as well too. So I just think that in this Ken Holland always used to say it's a man's league. And what he means by that is you got to be strong. You got to be able to go through the grind, which the National Hockey League is. And let's face it, in Sweden, they don't play the same amount of games. They practice a lot more, don't play as many games as they do here in the States or in Canada. But, they're usually pretty highly skilled once they come to the National Hockey League. So I just think that, if he's not ready to play, they understand that. Steve Yzerman knows that and the staff. So, he'll get his practice time and he'll develop. And then when he's ready to go, they'll bring him in. Somewhat similar to like Mo Sider last year. He was a big guy, but just wasn't ready to play in the NHL.
Well, you got to think of, too, you look at someone like Luke Glendening, who, correct me if I'm wrong, I think is around 5'10", but he has that weight. So he's out there and he's throwing people around himself, and he's not the biggest guy out there. So that's something that when you say, Ken, you've got to put on weight, that is definitely something you just got to bulk up and make sure you can skate with that weight. Hopefully it doesn't slow you down. But again, the height isn't the problem. I think it is the weight. I agree with you, Ken.
Definitely. Go ahead, Art.
Well, I was just going to say, sorry, Daniela, but when we're talking about weight, we're not talking about it being like a 200-pound behemoth or something. Right. I mean, we're looking at maybe 12 pounds or something of muscle mass, of just putting on some muscle. So I think that that's not that much of a stretch. I mean, look, he's a kid. He's still a kid. I know,
Right.
He's 18, so he probably thinks he has all the answers of the world, like we all did at 18. But with all that said, he's still very, very young. His body still has a ways to go to be mature. So I think, I'm sure Sean Horkoff and I'm sure that the Mike Barwis and the training staff and everyone's going to get hold of him, probably put him on a little bit of a program where he builds muscle mass just to get a little stronger. He'll grow into his body. The talent's there. The skill level's there. He can make plays. And, and I know Elias Pettersson of New Jersey isn't big, but he's a center. This is a guy that's a winger. He can play right side or he can play left side, but he's going to be going up and down that wall. And you know that there's going to be some rather large wingers and defensemen that are just going to feast upon him when they're seeing him close to that wall, and they want to bang him in there. I mean, that's kind of part of the game. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a physical test for him because that's what the men's league is all about. As Ken Holland, as Ken said, used to call it that. And that's the only thing. And I'm not even saying it's a drawback because I know that he is going to, just through aging, he's going to get bigger. He's going to have muscle mass. So again, I mean, he's 161. I'm looking at maybe 175. Okay. Something like that. And that's all going to be muscle mass, redistribute his body. He'll be fine. But I think it may take a while, and maybe learning still in Sweden would be the best thing for him because he's playing in, Fulunda is a professional league. The Swedish Hockey League is considered to be the third best hockey league in the world behind the NHL and then the AHL, which is the second best league in the world. And then you have the Swedish Hockey League. So he's in a good spot. Put on a little bit of weight. Before you know it, 2021 rolls around. Lucas Raymond, boom, he's a Red Wing.
The other thing, Art, if I can just jump in here real quick, is the fact that he's playing on a bigger ice surface over there. And I think when you play the North American game and you're a winger, you're going to be going into some battles, as you mentioned, with the smaller ice surface here. So you have to be strong. You have to be tough. You have to be able to use your body to get positioning on the puck and come away with the puck so you can dish it out to a teammate. And those are the types of things, the North American rinks, that he's going to have to learn and learn how to play on, because that is a big difference a lot of times when you get someone playing over in Sweden and then they come here and play in the North American rinks.
We just got word that the 8th pick is Jack Quinn. He's off the board to the Buffalo Sabres at 8, ahead of Marco Rossi, who I thought was going to go at 4 to the Red Wings. So Marco Rossi's still on the board. I want to backtrack a bit. We are going to hear from Lucas Raymond in his press conference. We will have that live. But let's backtrack. We haven't talked about Alexis Lafreniere wearing that Broadway blue that I know Art loves. So Art, don't get too far into the draft lottery because we know how you feel about that. But 1, 2, 3 picks. How do you feel? I know it's no surprises. Alexis Lafreniere in Broadway blue, Quentin Byfield at 2 to the Kings, and then 3 we had Tim Stützle to Ottawa. Just kind of summarize those 3 picks and how you felt about there not being any surprises.
Well, I think we all knew that, even though they took all 5 minutes for some unknown reason, that Lafreniere was going to go to the blue shirts, and that's exactly what he did. He's in the Broadway blue. He's a great player. We were watching the coverage on NBC, and Craig Button, whom we all love as an analyst and really knows his stuff. He predicted on the word on Woodward, and he stuck to it tonight. He thinks he's going to get at least 60 points as a rookie. Lafreniere is ready to play. Quentin Byfield, it all comes down to Anze Kopitar. LA needs a center. This kid is a center. He's huge. He's big. He's got a great mentor in Kopitar, so that makes sense. Stützle was the guy. That was where maybe, just maybe, depending on what Ottawa would do, but from everything that we've heard, Stützle, who now is at 18 at Mannheim, and running their power play. He runs their power play as a teenager in a professional league in the DEL. So as much as I was hoping that maybe Ottawa would, be in love with another player, it makes complete sense that that they went 1, 2, 3. That they went 1, 2, 3. LA wanted a center. They got one in Byfield. You want the best player if you're picking first, and the Rangers got the best player in Lafreniere, and then you want the player who has the most upside and potential, and that is Stützle. Stützle could be, I think Ken Daniels said it on our Fox preview show, it could be 5 years from now the best player in this draft. He's that good. He has that great of hockey sense, so I'm not surprised at all that they went 1, 2, 3. What I am surprised about is like we predicted at number 4, the draft opened wide open, and it has wide. I mean, Steve cracked this baby open with Lucas Raymond. Yeah. Not that that's a stretch. Again, Lucas Raymond's a very, very good player, and I want to say this. Last year at the hockey showcase, at the summer showcase out at USA Arena out there in Plymouth, I mean, Lucas Raymond was the talk. I mean, he was right up there with all the best players in the world. But he was hurt. We were all he played a couple of games in that exhibition tournament, but we were all there to see him. I mean, he is really highly sought after and thought of. And so, again, if you're a Red Wing fan tonight, you should not be, saying, "Oh my gosh, Lucas Raymond." I mean, they really did get a good player.
Well, and, that's the same with Mo Seider. Last year, we were all kind of like, well, what? We needed to get graphics ready. We needed to get all our facts together because we didn't really know that Yzerman was going to draft Moritz Seider. But, again, look at what he's doing. Look at how well he's playing. And he wasn't by any means a bad pick. It was just one of those things where it was like, whoa. Didn't see that coming. But I will say one thing about Mo Seider and Tim Stützle, as we were talking, they are such good buddies. It would have been awesome to see them in the same organization. That would have been a funny pair and a dynamic duo to see out on the ice together.
A couple weeks ago, I was on the WOW show with you, Daniella and Art, and you were asking me about if there will be any surprises, 1, 2, or 3. And I took the conservative approach, and I said, no, I don't see any surprises. I think Lafreniere is going to go 1 to the Rangers, and the Kings are going to go with Byfield, and then the third pick, Ottawa's going to get their man. So, Stützle. So I really didn't see any changes. That's the way it played out. Lafreniere is going to be a terrific player, I think, in the National Hockey League. But again, it's a learning curve for him, too. I mean, people think he's just going to step right into this league and really dominate. That could be the case, but he's got a learning curve to come in here. He doesn't have all the answers. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to learn. These guys are smart. They played. They've got more experience. Is he going to be a good player? Yes, he is. How soon? I don't know. Now, is he going to get 60 points? We'll just have to wait and find out. Byfield, I thought maybe the Kings might go in a different direction, but, they wanted the guy that will take over someday for Kopitar. And then when you look at Stützle, I agree. I think down the road, people are going to be really wowed by him. And with the Red Wings taking Lucas Raymond, I just say that he's going to be an outstanding player, too. He's going to be developed the right way, the Red Wing way, and the fans are really going to like him here.
Marco Rossi just went at 9, everybody, for the update. Again, we will have a press conference live with Lucas Raymond coming up. Ken, you got to be pretty excited, though, to see guys like Alexis Lafreniere and Tim Stützle kind of make their way into the league, be the next round of generational players, because it's always fun to see guys like that. And I know Alexis Lafreniere was getting the comparison to Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. You can look back in the media guides down the road 3, 4, 5 years, and you take a look at who was drafted and which ones panned out and which ones didn't. And again, there's no guarantee. Sometimes, players that are projected to be really superstar players sometimes just never pan out. And then there's other players that go in the later rounds that come out to be outstanding hockey players. So you just never know. And again, we're talking about 18-year-old players here. And there is that learning curve, as I mentioned. And this is a league of men. They're smart. The players that play in this league are experienced. And players have to go through that learning curve. And sometimes that can be difficult. And the other thing I wanted to talk about as far as Lucas Raymond, whether he makes it this year coming up as a Red Wing or not, is that what you don't want to do with any player, even Lafreniere, is you don't want their confidence to wane, because I'm telling you, this is a harsh league. And if you go out there and all of a sudden, you're a minus player and things aren't going your way offensively that you're hoping for, and all of a sudden you're a minus 10, 11, 12, all of a sudden, you're not going to be playing as many minutes. So it's a humbling league, and players just have to go through the grind, and the good players know how to figure it out, and the players that don't make it don't.
That reminds me of a player that we drafted, Philip Zadina. He went through a bit of a rut, couldn't really get a goal, was kind of mentally down, as we could all say. I mean, that was a hot topic through us in the locker room, talking about how we could just see it's the mental game too, and these guys are so young. I mean, it makes me feel old. I know I'm not that old, but it makes me feel young makes me feel old thinking about how young these guys are, and it takes a mental toll on you in this league, not just physical as well, but a mental toll on you. And that's another part of the development, is that mental game that like no matter what, I'm going to keep trying. If I can't score a goal, got to keep trying, or what can I change, or what can I do to progress? So that is one thing I will say that I did see in someone like Philip Zadina, that mental toll took on him. So again, I like seeing the development, not in the National Hockey League, because it can get you down, and you don't want to see that in a young player at 18, 19 years old.
And Philip Zadina seems to be making a turn in his career. He looked great at the end of the season. Unfortunately, his injury kept him off the ice for a while, but hopefully we'll see him really take a turn next season. Art, I do want to ask you a question about Lucas Raymond. I have read that he has potential to be a power play quarterback, so he can run the power play. How important is that for the Red Wings heading into next season?
Well, I think it's essential. I think that, if you can get somebody who can be your quarterback, who can run a power play, who has good instincts. Remember, he's a slick puck handler. That's the one thing that everyone says. This guy is a playmaker. He knows what he's doing out there. So if he can direct a power play, that suddenly makes the Red Wing power play, and let's be honest, it has been pretty not good. The last couple of seasons.
Really not good.
I have to tell it like it is.
Say the least.
Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean? It hasn't been very good. I'd like to say feast or famine, but it's mostly famine, and, so they need that. They need somebody like that. Somebody who can get the puck, distribute the puck, get it to Dylan Larkin, who has a great shot, even though Dylan can do that on his own, too. Dylan's not bad on the power play. But then you've got Bertuzzi, you've got Mantha. I mean, these guys can shoot. Zadina is a shooter. I expect big things from Philip Zadina this year. But if you can get a guy who can stabilize that power play and quarterback it, and then, put Mo Seider on the back end, too, a big 6'4" rear guard, suddenly the Red Wings are, again, it's a process, but they're suddenly light at the end of the tunnel. They're starting to get a little bit better. Lucas Raymond is one of those guys, and if he can take that power play and he can quarterback it and he can be a definitive number one, that's almost worth the fourth pick by itself, just because of where the Red Wings power play currently is situated.
And the other thing, too, with defensemen is if you look at the pipeline that the Red Wings have already, you're starting to see some of the younger guys that eventually will be playing for the Detroit Red Wings. There's going to be a guy, Jared McIsaac, who's playing overseas now. He's on loan, but he's one of those minute munchers. He'll come in, he'll play, they're saying 25 minutes a game. Look at Philip Roenick. I mean, he's really made some strides. He was playing a lot more, and I think the Red Wings wanted him to play just because of the fact that the Red Wings were lean with injuries back there. But, he's ready to take that next step forward. Gustav Lindstrom looked pretty comfortable back there. I see good things coming from him. And Mo Seider, if he comes back, makes the team. Now, all of a sudden, with your veterans like Danny DeKeyser and Mark Stahl who's coming in, all of a sudden, things can change in a hurry. So things are looking good, and I know it's going to take a little more time, but I think Red Wing fans can take a look at this team right now and see what the future is like and that they're going in the right direction.
Let me ask you guys this. I'm going to throw this one out to the group, so whoever feels like they have an answer for this, go ahead. So we talked a little bit earlier. We touched on Justin Abdelkader. He will not be offered another contract with the Red Wings. He'll actually be bought out of it. So we may not think it's going to be Lucas Raymond that steps right into this lineup and plays, but there is a hole right now in the forward department for the Red Wings with Justin Abdelkader not being there. Who do you think is somebody that can step up? Maybe a prospect that's in Grand Rapids right now, or should I say was in Grand Rapids last season?
Well, I have somebody.
I knew it.
Yeah, I think it's Giovanni Smith. I'll be quite honest with you. I think Giovanni Smith has some offensive upside too, and he's a bit of a grinder. He's willing to do whatever it takes. Giovanni Smith, whom I really like, he's one of our bloggers on the Taking Flight blog series. I mean, Giovanni's is just I really like him, but I like him because he has his work ethic is just absolutely second to none. He wanted to get a call up this year, and he actually did get that call up a lot sooner than anyone expected. And I just think that Giovanni Smith is a guy, and obviously we all wish Justin Abdelkader all the best in the world. I mean, they don't make him any better than Justin. I mean, he's just a superb man. But with that said, I think that Giovanni Smith is a guy that could actually step into that role. This is an opportunity. You don't like to see players come and go, and players understand that better than fans do, or broadcasters or media types. I mean, that's the nature of this sport. When they have exit day, when they have clean out locker day, the Red Wings are sitting around and they get their team picture, and then they walk into the room and they're there in their uniforms, usually the home red, and they start to take that stuff off and pack up their stuff. They know that that's the last time that this team is ever going to be together. It's not going to be the same the following year. That's what professional sport is. And my point being is that Giovanni Smith now looks at it, and there's an opening on a fourth line, a guy that has grit and some offensive side. And let's be honest, Justin's offensive game the last couple of years just unfortunately he lost it. And because of that, the Red Wings were in a tough bind. They really had to do something, and Steve made a very difficult decision to buy him out. But with now, that opens up the door, and I really, really think that Giovanni Smith is a guy that could take Justin Abdelkader's place. I mean, there's other guys on this team. Don't kid yourself. Michael Rasmussen is going to want to make this team. Joe Veleno, who is on loan to Malmo now in Sweden. He's going to want to make this team. I mean, they've got guys knocking on the door, and another guy, although he's a center, and a guy I know that the Red Wings really, really like, and we've mentioned him, and I know he's, Ken gave him the nickname of Peach, and that's Chase Pearson, who's from Georgia, by the way. His first year pro, he wasn't too shabby down in Grand Rapids either. He was a University of Maine captain for 2 years as a sophomore and junior, then turned pro. So there is, and I love Ken's point. I love what Ken was saying. And we saw that this year, when on the Word on Woodward, when we were talking about the Tigers. Both teams are in about similar situation. They're both in rebuilds, but you're seeing some young talent. You're seeing some people. It'll be interesting. I really think that in these later rounds, the Red Wings have 3 picks in the second round and 2 in the third. What's Steve going to do there? We might get a better indication of where he thinks this organization is. Is he going to go heavy forward? We all expect him probably in the second round to draft a goalie, and so they're going to try to replenish the system that way. But I'm eager to see what happens now in these later rounds, especially the second with the 3 picks, as I said, and the third with the 2. What's Steve really thinking? Now, if Steve starts to get some defensemen, maybe then we have to reassess and say, maybe the defense is not quite as close as we think they are. But I would be surprised if they don't go for. I think they're going to go heavy forward. I think they're going to go goaltender. And then I think in the later rounds, maybe then is when you really try to hit, go off the board, and maybe then they might fill out some defensemen. I still think that they're still going to go for forward. They need high-skilled guys. They need offensive weapons. They need people that can put the puck in the net. And who better than Steve Yzerman to find guys in the second and third round like a Point and like a Kucherov. I mean, those guys weren't first-round picks. So I think we might, look that way, look for some forwards. And again, if they draft a Russian forward in the second round tomorrow, hey, whoa, there's Kucherov. That's, no. I'm not saying it's Kucherov. They got Kucherov, no. But, again, my point being is Steve's going to get some pretty good players.
Wait, you're getting to the point?
I was going to say, I was going to answer after you, but my gosh, Art, if you guys forgot
I'm sorry. I'm really wound up. I've been looking forward to this draft for a long, long time. I love the draft. There's something about it. And the thing that I'm really encouraged about is that Steve's draft last year with Sider, everyone's looking at it and thinking, whoa, a stretch and all that. But you look at all the players the Red Wings drafted last year, that's a good draft. All those players exceeded expectations. They all, for the most part, unless they were injured, had good years. So that's why I'm so excited, and I'll be quiet now. Carley, I defer to you.
Wait a minute. After that 10-minute dissertation, I was wondering when you were going to bring up Rasmussen's name because he's the guy that you like to pick plums with, out in Vancouver.
That's
and I'm
true.
wondering when you were going to throw his name into the show.
He did very briefly.
I did
very briefly.
To answer your question, Giovanni Smith.
Okay. So, Ken, what do you think about Michael Rasmussen? And then, Carley, you're going to wrap it up for us.
Well, Michael Rasmussen's a big player. I think he's got to work on his skating still, but he's still growing into that big frame that he's got. But, to me, I look at him as a power play specialist. And if you have a guy like Lucas Raymond who's going to quarterback or run your power play, all you need for Rasmussen to do is get in front of the net. He's a master at tipping shots that come from long range. He's good in front of the net. He's going to be more harder than ever to be pushed away, and because he's getting older and he's using his strength to his advantage. So I see him really being kind of a power play specialist that can really help the Detroit Red Wings. And another player that we haven't really talked about that I'm hoping he's going to fit in this year is Svechnikov.
Right.
Evgeny Svechnikov had a brutal knee injury, missed a whole year. He's got to come back. He's older, he's stronger, he's bigger now, and I think he needs to show some offense. And if he can do that, it's only going to help this Red Wing team this year.
Ken, I like that. I like Gino Svechnikov, as we call him. I like him. He's got a fire burning in him after that injury. Like, he just really wants to get out there and play some hockey and play some good hockey. But I do want to see Joe Veleno in a winged wheel sweater. Just with what we saw from him last year in Traverse City, he was such a dynamic goal scorer. We were seeing him goal after goal after goal. So that was something I was really looking forward to seeing. Again, we didn't see him last year, but, maybe next year that's someone we can see. It would be nice to see him, a few of our first-round picks up together, maybe with Mo Sider, Philip Zadina, and Joe Veleno. That would be really cool to see. But I do like both of your picks, Gino Svechnikov and Giovanni Smith. Those would both be really good guys. And again, like we were saying, Daniella's question was who could fill Justin Abdelkader's spot. And I think those are all really good guys that could fill that spot, because that is not, a first or second line spot to be filled. So these are perfect guys that can just slide right in and fill those spots and really make an impact.
After all of that, I'm really glad that I asked the question, because look at all of the players that we have that could fill in that spot. That's got to be a positive sign for the Red Wings fans out there that are listening. Art, I have breaking news for you.
Yes.
Askarov is gone. Did you hear who drafted him yet?
Was it the Devils?
Carolina?
It was not the Devils. It was not Carolina. It was the Nashville Predators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There was talk that he might end up there.
Yeah.
And you know what? With Tuukka Rask, up there in age, that might be a good pick for him.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Art, are you a little bit disappointed? What do you think?
I think Steve's on the phone negotiating the deal. That's what I think.
While you're at it, get Roman Josi too, all right?
Yeah, right. Roman Josi and Askarov. And we're going to give you a couple Little Caesars franchises. How's that sound?
There you go. That's a good trade deal.
Right down there on Broadway in Nashville. Right down there on Broadway, boom, you got a couple of Little Caesars.
It's not a bad place to be downtown right there on Broadway.
No, that's
Bridgestone Arena.
Hey, he's going to like Nashville.
You're
No,
right.
hey, look, he's that good. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, if you didn't take him at 4, they weren't going to get him, but he's at a good, he's on a good team. It's a great market. And, and he's in the Western Conference, so I wish him nothing but the best of luck till the Stanley Cup Final against the Red Wings.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question here. We should be going just momentarily to Lucas Raymond live at his press conference. Ken, I'm going to ask you this question. We've still got a lot of time left in the first round. Is there any chance we see the Red Wings make another pick in the first round tonight?
I don't think so. Anything's possible, Daniella, but, just from what I heard Steve Yzerman say to the media this week is we've got 10 picks in this draft this year, and it's not all about trying to win. They want to win this coming season, but it's not about that. It's about the bigger picture, and the way to do that is by drafting talent and not doing it by free agency. And I think if they do everything that they're planning and hoping for, I really think, Daniella, that there won't be a trade. Not to say that down the later rounds that you could see a minor deal or something like that, but I don't think anything major is coming up. But then again, I didn't pick Lucas Raymond.
None of us did.
We don't
What do I
know.
know?
We don't know. We're just talking. We're just all
That means they're going to make a big
speculating.
deal. That's it.
Theorizing. That's about all you can say.
Art, what do you think? Is there any chance that we see another first round pick?
No, according to Steve, no.
Are you texting him?
Look, I don't think so. I mean, would he like to get in there? Has Cole Perfetti gone yet? I don't think so, has he?
No.
Yes, he did.
Oh,
he did. He did.
He's off the
Okay,
board.
He is off the
so-
board. To Winnipeg. He went to Winnipeg.
Winnipeg,
Not a bad place to
That was
be.
my-
playing
my
with
choice.
Kyle Connor, University of Michigan's own, but
Tell them to wear a heavy coat.
Yeah.
I think the smell too is pretty bad. But
Play nice.
All right, so get some nose plugs, Cole.
They have a lot of cattle in Winnipeg. It's a cattle town. With that said, no, I don't think so either. I agree with Ken. I think Steve's pretty happy. From here on out, like people, the only time the draft lottery works or is just for the first round only. So from here on out, the Red Wings are going to lead off every round with their pick. So they're going to have the 33rd pick overall, or I guess Seattle isn't picking this year, so it'll be the 32nd pick overall. And then, in the preceding rounds because, they finished the last overall. So I think Steve's probably pretty happy. They got the player that, that they wanted. If they had to pick fourth, I think Lucas Raymond was the guy that they, after really reading everything and things that I've heard, I'm pretty sure that they're really happy with that pick. And then, Steve and his scouting staff, Chris Draper and Pat Verbeek and Håkan Andersson over there in Europe. I mean, they're going to start working their magic and, pluck some, not even diamonds out of the rough. I mean, but some really impactful players in the second and third round.
You guys, Ken and Art, were both a part of our draft preview special, which ran on Fox Sports Detroit. Carly, I want you to answer this too, if you remember. Did anyone pick Lucas Raymond on there? Because you guys had quite the lineup picking who they would take at 4. Did anyone say Lucas Raymond?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone did.
I think I did.
No, you did
Art.
not. You said
I think you
Alexander
said
Holtz.
everyone in the entire draft pool.
I think I said anybody but Lucas Raymond, please.
I think what Art did was each time on a show, on WOW or the FST draft special, any different show, he picked on average about 3 or 4 different people each time. It was never 3 or 4 the same people. It was a different player and a different group of players every single time. So yeah, I mean, Art, you may have said him a couple times, but I really honestly can't even remember.
I think out of all the players I mentioned, I don't think Lucas Raymond was one of them. But again, my reasoning was not because Raymond is not a good player, because
Right.
he is. It was because Holtz was a goal scorer, a pure goal scorer, and I really thought that was a need that and not that they didn't address it with Raymond, but Holtz is a guy who went 7th overall. So he's going to light the old Philip Zadina quote. What was it? I'm going to light their they're I'm going to fill their nets with pucks or whatever he said when teams pass on him his draft year. Holt is going to be that same type of player.
Yeah. Anton Lindell just went to Florida as well. That's our latest update on the draft. And Carly, we had a fan pick correctly. Jonah Gorski won one of our Labatt prize packs, and she picked Lucas Raymond.
That's right. That's when we talked about him. Ken, I asked your take on that. Good on that.
Actually,
I was going to say
have them on our show.
Well, she's next year. She's one of the hosts.
Yeah,
so,
we're all fired.
There you go. Congratulations.
Actually, that was right off the top of the show as we were
was?
talking about, and
like,
Gorski said that.
Hey, she's going to have to, he or she, whatever he or she is, they are going to have to tweet us at every draft show that we have from now on, because I think that you have the secret, or maybe that's like Steve Yzerman's right-hand man.
Or maybe it's a burner account. Maybe it was Steve
maybe
Yzerman.
it was.
entering the giveaway.
We've traced that to Pat Verbeek. He really wants the Labatt stuff.
Well, you guys, we are getting really, really close to getting Lucas Raymond live, his press conference. Let's go around the room, everybody. Give kind of your wrap-up, your final thoughts on Lucas Raymond being officially a Detroit Red Wing. Ken, why don't you kick it off?
Happy that the Red Wings selected Lucas Raymond. After all, we all mentioned that no matter who the Red Wings pick, they're going to get a solid player, and certainly Lucas Raymond, again, as I mentioned before, and I know it sounds bad, but everyone's going to love Raymond down the road, really, because he is a dynamic talent, and I think here in Detroit, we miss playmakers. We miss guys like Pavel Datsyuk who could really dangle the puck and make people miss, and he was just such a delightful person to watch. And when you get a guy that's highly skilled like a Lucas Raymond, he's going to be fun to watch for many, many years, and he's going to be a big part of this Detroit Red Wing team. So I'm curious to see who the Red Wings will pick with their other selections, and I'm certainly hoping, like everybody is, that maybe down the road you get a third, fourth, fifth round pick that's a diamond in the rough that's going to be a big part of this team in the future.
Carly, what do you think?
To go off of what Ken was saying, that's highly possible. Look at the second, third rounds. But with Lucas Raymond, it's exciting. It's another one of those Steve Yzerman curveballs, as I've been saying all night long. We all expected it, not Lucas Raymond, but that it was going to be a curveball. But again, what we've been saying this whole stream, there aren't any bad players in this draft pool. And so Lucas Raymond is a dynamic player, someone who is a bit small, so would like to see a little bit of development or seasoning, as Ken likes to say. I would like to see him bulk up a bit, put on a few lbs, but he could be part 2 Magic Man. You don't know. He could be stick-handling around these big guys, so wouldn't even have to worry about that weight. We'll see. I'd like to see him develop, but it is very exciting, very, very exciting to see another Swedish player wearing a winged wheel jersey again. Hopefully he can follow in some of his old countrymen's footsteps, if you will, and bring some success to this team, because this Detroit Red Wings organization is in dire need of another Stanley Cup.
Oh, agree to there. And Art, we're getting really close, so I might have to cut you off. I planned this. So go ahead, Art. Give your final thoughts.
Well, since I think he's waiting in the wings and hopefully he can hear us, Lucas Raymond's my all-time favorite Red Wing. Can I just say that?
Perfect. There you go, Art. Great timing, too. Let's go to Lucas Raymond.
Video or something like that. Like, I can send you an example what to say, but it would just be, hey, Lucas Raymond here, really happy to be a member of the Red Wings, looking forward to getting started, or something along those lines. So
yeah, no
cool.
problem.
All right, so yeah, we'll just be in touch with you throughout the night. I know it's getting late there, so we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm gonna let all the media in, and then there'll just be like a minute delay, and then I'm gonna welcome everyone and just kind of go over the rules that we use for these Zoom chats. So
yeah.
I'm gonna change your name real quick, just because some people will get their name on there. So.
Oh yeah, great. Carl, den här är spegelvänd nu. Går du att få den så den är...
All right, you guys, they're handling a little bit of audio technical issues, and while we're doing that, I am going to let Art finish. I did drop the Kanye on him, so I will let him finish his thoughts. Go ahead, Art.
I do love Taylor Swift, by the way. With that said, again, he's a highly skilled player. The Red Wings need help all over. I just think that Lucas Raymond is the type of player that can do everything on the ice. He plays a good two-way game. He's good defensively. He's responsible with the puck, but he's a slick puck handler. He's really smooth out there. He's able to make plays, and he's able to score goals. So I think when you really look at it overall, I think that Steve probably would like a player that is highly skilled and a cut above. And Lucas Raymond fits that bill. Again, keep going back to Holtz, who's now on another team. But I really thought that they needed goal scoring, but Lucas Raymond fills so many needs that the Red Wings have. So, welcome to Detroit.
Welcome to Detroit, Lucas Raymond. And Art, one thing that we talked about earlier was the power play, that he can quarterback a power play. And we also talked about how Alexander Holtz was, when we were talking about him earlier, was the pure goal scorer. Lucas Raymond more of the setup guy. What was it? Actually, I had a question for Art, but the press conference is underway. You guys, we're going to go to Lucas Raymond right now.
Quick reminder for those of you who aren't regulars on our Zooms, we use the Zoom chat as a queue for questions. So feel free to let us know when you'd like to ask a question by using the chat icon on the bottom of your screen. And you can also let us know in the chat if you get any message about needing any recording permission, and we'll go ahead and grant that permission. So once we get a few questions in the chat here, we will go ahead and get started. All right, our first question will be from Helene St. James with the Detroit Free Press.
Hi, Lucas. Can you just, what was your reaction when you heard Chris Draper announce your name? And what, as a Swede, you must have some familiarity with the Red Wings' history.
Yeah, I mean, it was extremely exciting. A dream come true, and especially a club like Detroit with, like you mentioned, a lot of good Swedes, legendary Swedes have played there. So, I mean, it was extremely exciting, and I'm so happy and honored to be a part of the Detroit Red Wings.
Our next question will be from Ansar Khan with them Live.
Hi, Lucas. Can you just describe yourself as a player? What are your strengths? What do you feel you will bring to this organization?
I'll try to really play my game, trying to make an offensive impact, trying to go speed and energy, and a high compete level. But we'll try to come with offensive mindset and really want to win and play good and develop.
Our next question will be from Brad Galley with WXYZ.
Lucas, I actually have two for you, if that's okay. The first one would be, I believe you were in Michigan for the showcase last year.
I'll try to.
And I'm curious what you made of Michigan at that point. If you pictured, wow, I wonder what it would be like to be a Red Wing at that point.
Yeah, I was in Michigan, and I really liked it. We got to visit the arena and got a tour there as well, and I was really amazed. It was huge with great facilities, and at that moment, I didn't really think I was gonna end up there because I didn't really have my mind on any of those things. But I remember thinking that to be able to play in one of these arenas one day would be awesome. So to be able to be a part of that is unbelievable.
And then my second one will be just with Steve Yzerman as the general manager of this team. He keeps a lot of things to himself. I'm curious how much interaction you had with him throughout the process.
Yeah, I had meetings with him via Zoom with their staff and him as well. So we talked.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Our next question will be from Max Boltman with The Athletic.
Hey, Lucas, how you doing? First of all, I'm curious what this night was like for you, having your draft party there. I think it's about 2:30 a.m., 2:45 a.m. where you are now. What was the night like?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's pretty late here right now, but it hasn't been that big of a challenge staying up.
Gotta mute this.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's pretty late, but I mean, it hasn't been that big of a problem staying up. I've been pretty excited all night, yeah, it's been really fun and a special experience with my family here and friends and agents. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, and then my second one, just where did you spend the most time this summer working on your game? What aspects of your game were you trying the hardest to improve?
I worked a lot on the gym with our physical coach, trying to get bigger, stronger, and more stable. and also trying to translate that on the ice. And of course, working a lot on the ice as well. Focused a lot on my shot, trying to develop that in different situations. And it was a really long preseason, so I had a lot of time to work on many different things.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Ted Colpin with the Detroit News.
Hey, Lucas, welcome to Detroit. Hey, a couple quick ones. First off, how has playing against men in Frölunda last season or two helped you as a player? And do you think it's progressed you at this point, maybe a little further ahead than most guys?
Yeah, I think it has helped me a lot. I mean, not just on the ice, but off the ice as well. I mean, with guys like Joel Lundqvist on our team, a lot of those guys to look up to and really learn from. But also on the ice, I mean, it's a different game. I think you really have to be strong in the battles around the boards and really take what's given as well. Really have the attacking mindset. So I think it has helped me a lot.
Is there an NHL player that you like to pattern your game after?
I don't really pattern my game after one player like that. I think I like to take parts from different players as much as possible because everybody's really good at something. So trying to pick different parts from different players.
Who do you like to watch, or who do you like? Who's one of your favorites right now?
I mean, it's a lot of good players to watch. I mean, Crosby, Panarin, McDavid. It's a lot of fun guys to watch. I mean, I don't get to watch the games that often because it's usually pretty late and here in Sweden, so it's mostly highlights. And grown up watching Patrick Kane, Ovechkin, all of those guys. So it's a lot of fun players to watch.
Thanks, Lucas.
No problem.
All right, our next question will be from Annika Greeder-Duncan. I believe she asked a question in Swedish for Swedish radio.
Hej Lukas, Detroit är ju ett gammalt svenskt lag. Tänker du föra tillbaka dem till sina storhetstider nu?
Ja, jag vet inte om man vill lägga på sig så mycket, men jag ser grymt fram emot att få komma dit och ja, det är verkligen utvecklas och vinna så mycket som möjligt. Så att jag ser fram emot det grymt mycket.
Har du någon favorit där från Detroit bland de svenskar som har spelat där?
Det finns ju Lidström igen som en legend här i Sverige. Kronwall också. Det finns många att välja på. Zetterberg. Så att det finns många duktiga som har spelat här.
Och snart Raymond.
Ja, förhoppningsvis.
Tack.
Tack.
All right, our next question will be from Art Regner with DetroitRedWings.com.
Welcome to Detroit, Lucas. I'm kind of curious, have the Red Wings given you any indication of whether they would like you to come to North America when the country opens up again? Or will you stay in Sweden? Do you plan on coming to Detroit soon just to get a feel for this area and this facility?
No, we haven't had the time to talk about that so far. So probably talk to them, tomorrow, this week, and see what they're thinking and how they see things going. But not yet.
Do you think that you will stay in Sweden at least through this season?
I don't really know. I mean, I think I will talk to with the Red Wings and see what they think and talk with them and figure something out. So I don't really know.
And our next question will go back to Helene St. James with the Detroit Free Press.
Lucas, have you had any communication with the Wings tonight with Steve Yzerman or Chris Draper or anybody?
Tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Steve on the phone, Chris as well. So I talked to both of them.
What did Steve say?
No, they just wanted to congratulate me and let me know that he was excited to have me and that we would talk this week.
Can you just a little bit about your day? I mean, did you get did you try to sleep in late? Did you take a nap knowing you would be up at 2:30 in the morning your time? What was this day like for you?
Yeah, well, I had practice this morning with the team, and then I went home and got a nap because I know it will be late, and I have practice tomorrow as well. So I want to come not that tired. So rested a bit this day, and then just staying up now in the evening with my family, and yeah, trying to enjoy it as much as possible.
When do you have to be at practice?
9 in the morning.
Okay, so short sleep. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we have time for a few more. Next, we'll go to Justin Rose with WXYZ.
Hey, Lucas, congratulations. Welcome to Detroit. I think I picked up a little bit when you were answering that question in Swedish, but what are some of the guys on the current roster for the Wings that you know of? Do you know much about Dylan Larkin and Anthony Ciu and the like? And have you crossed paths with those guys before?
Well, never really crossed paths with them like Pearson that way, but I mean, I've watched a lot of those players, highlights and stuff like that, and I think they have a lot of great young guys and play a really fast game, and what I've seen is really fun hockey and a good team. So I mean, they have a lot of good players, and I mean, growing up, watching a lot of those as well. So it's I'm really excited.
What about taking on the challenge of joining a club that's in a rebuilding process? I mean, mentally, you've probably won a whole lot of hockey games in your career thus far, but now you're going to a team that's trying to build itself up. I mean, how much do you embrace that type of challenge?
Well, I want to win as much as possible wherever I play. And I think that's the mindset I have, and I think that's the mindset you need to have as well. I think every player wants to win, whether they're rebuilding or peaking. You always want to win, and that's where you play. That's what I'm thinking about and looking forward to.
Thanks, Lucas.
No problem.
All right, our next question will be from Ted Colfin with the Detroit News.
Hey, Lucas, did you have an idea that you could be going to the Red Wings tonight? I mean, were the meetings good and the interviews good coming up to tonight?
I mean, I had kind of an idea, but I didn't want to get my hopes up too much on any team. I just trying to stay as neutral as possible because I know everything can happen in the draft. But I had kind of an idea, but not like certain. So when they called my name, I was extremely excited and many different feelings and emotions at the same time. So extremely proud and honored to be a part of the Detroit Red Wings.
Thanks, Lucas.
Okay, and our last question for Lucas will come from Max Boltman with The Athletic.
Hey, Lucas, I just wanted to ask you about your game in the 2019 gold medal game against Russia. What do you remember about that game, and how much do you enjoy those big moments like that?
I remember it was a really fun game. I mean, it was nervous sometimes. I remember the game was kind of going back and forth. They took the lead quite late. But I mean, it was an awesome experience, especially at home with family in the stands, and to be able to win that with that team as well. It was really exciting, and I have a lot of good memories from that. And I think it's fun games when it's kind of all over the line. The tight games, I think that's where everybody steps up, and it's you can almost feel it's a certain feeling in those type of games, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. We'll be in touch.
There you go, everybody. Your newest Detroit Red Wing, Lucas Raymond. Man, would it be cool to get a congratulatory call from Steve Yzerman himself? Ken, Carley, what did you guys both think of it?
Well, first and foremost, I give him a lot of credit because he's got to be at practice at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he's
Right.
spending time with us here in Detroit. So that tells you a little bit about his character, and he wants to be with us. I'm really glad, and he seems like he's happy to be here. Again, we've had so much success with Swedish hockey players here in Detroit, and I just think the fans are really going to love him.
I agree. You heard him. He answered a question in Swedish. And the only thing I understood was Lidstrom. So I'm not quite sure what the question or the answer was, but I do know that he did say Nicholas Lidstrom, another Swedish player who, to say the least, made a splash on this team and this organization. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, what the next steps are, but I'm really looking forward to it. Well-spoken guy. We have a lot of questions for him still. You heard Art ask him a question. So again, a lot to look forward to, but a lot of development still needed to be had by Lucas Raymond. But very excited for Hockeytown.
You know what? I was watching a scouting report and watching some highlights and video on Lucas Raymond, and I noticed, and maybe Art, you can chime in, Daniella, Carley too, but I noticed every time he shoots the puck, it's always on the stick side, and he has a lot of success on that stick side. And I think that's because everybody gloves Raymond, so shoot on the stick side.
I think the Detroit Red Wings social media stole that from you. And I could see that they captioned a video, "Everybody loves Raymond." But we sure do here at Little Caesars Arena. Looking forward to his bright future. But Ken, I have to ask you a question. Yeah. Let's say, the odds are slim to none, but let's say Lucas Raymond does make it to Detroit and plays for the Detroit Red Wings. What does he need to improve on, and what kind of impact do you think he will have on this team?
Well, again, as we talked about, he's just got to develop. And, it sounds to me like he's got pretty good hockey IQ and hockey sense. And I think a lot of times if you're a smart hockey player and you know how to get out of a way of people, it really helps you out in the long run. The other thing, though, and being a winger, you're going to be along the boards, as Art mentioned a lot. So you got to find a way to use your skill to knock players off the puck and get the puck and help your teammates in that regard. You got to go into the corners, and that's, if you're highly skilled, sometimes you can get away with going into the corners with bigger players because you have the intelligence and the smarts to get the puck and make a play. So that'll be interesting to see. I don't know if he'd be able to step right in and play. If he does, that's a big positive. But on the other hand, let's face it, he's only 18 years old. He's got a couple more years to develop.
Absolutely, Ken. All right, we're going to toss back to Daniella for a Lucas Raymond interview. Daniella?
Thank you so much, Carley. And as you mentioned, it was just great to hear from him. And he is now joining us live right here on our 2020 draft show presented by Labatt Blue Light. Lucas, first of all, congratulations and welcome to Detroit. We are so excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited too. Yeah.
The first question I have to ask you, and my co-host Carley also alluded to it, we heard you answer a question in Swedish in your press conference, and the only word that we got out of it was Lidstrom. Were you talking about Nick Lidstrom?
Yeah, he's one of the greatest Swedish players who ever played, and a big player in Detroit as well. So, yeah.
Lucas, we know that you were at the summer showcase last summer in Plymouth with Team Sweden. You said you had a tour of the arena. What do you remember about the metropolitan Detroit area? Because it's going to be your home for many, many years.
Yeah, I remember it was huge. It was great facilities. I think it was really, really clean, and you could tell that it was pretty new. And the arena as well, it was extremely nice, extremely big, and it was kind of unreal being there, and also around the locker room, it was great, and all of the tools you need to develop and succeed.
Lucas, another question for you. I know that it's late there in Sweden, and it was late when you found out that you were drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. But who was with you? Were you with any family members, or who did you tell right away?
Yeah, I was with my family and the agent. So we all were extremely excited and happy. So it was a really nice moment.
I know that growing up in Sweden, the Red Wings have had many, many fine Swedish players. I'm kind of curious. You said during your press conference that you had an idea that you might be going to the Red Wings. Can you take us through that process about your meetings, and why did you feel that when the number 4 pick came up that the Red Wings chances are they were going to select you?
Well, you talk to a lot of teams, and talking to Detroit, I got a really good feeling, and they felt good, and so that's kind of where I got it from, and got some idea of where I maybe was gonna go, but I didn't really want to get my hopes up either or speculate. So, but I mean, it was so exciting when they said my name, and still a bit shocked.
Lucas, we have heard a lot about your ability to make plays out on the ice. Do you think of yourself more as a playmaker than a goal scorer?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a bit more playmaker. I'm trying to work a lot right now on taking more shots and trying to get into that area where you can take the shots and really take more shots, more of a shooting mentality. But I'd still say I'm a bit more playmaker than a shooter, maybe.
You know, we've heard that you're great on the power play, that you can run a power play and quarterback the power play. The Red Wings need a lot of help on the power play. What makes you so good on the power play? Why are you so good at running a power play?
I like to have the puck in an attacking position, and I think on the power play you really have that opportunity. And you can play it in a bunch of different ways, but like that situation where you really have the time and space to make and find good plays, but also drive the tempo up, and where you're in that attacking position almost all the time, whether it's you setting someone up or taking the shot yourself. So yeah.
One critique that we have heard is that your size, you're a little bit smaller for a forward here. So what would your response be to that? How would you respond to somebody who said that you might be undersized?
Yeah, I gained a lot of pounds during this summer, and got really stronger as well, which I feel a lot in this early beginning in the year. I really feel like I've been able to translate that over to the ice, and I try to play with a lot of speed and not really relying on my size. But I think if you can get a size, you can really take advantage of that too. But I try to play with as much speed as possible, trying to be agile, and yeah. So I think that's my main strength and what helps me as well with my play.
Well, I gained a lot of pounds over the summer too, Lucas, but they were not. It wasn't strength, unfortunately. It wasn't muscle mass like you gained. I really want to ask you about, I know from all the Swedish Red Wings that I've known and covered for many, many years, very level-headed, calm. That is not your typical American. So with that, keeping that in mind, I'm curious what your own personal timeline is, because Red Wing fans want you in a Red Wing uniform yesterday. That's how impatient they'll be. How do you see you progressing? When do you think you will make your debut as a Red Wing?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I think right now in Finland, I've started off really good and feel good as well with the team. And so hopefully in the beginning of next season, I will feel like I'm ready and to be able to take a spot and really make an impact. But I mean, it's tough to say right now. I have to see what happens and how the Detroit thinks. But I mean, I'm really excited, and if I had to choose as well, I wanted to be in a Red Wings jersey yesterday as well.
Lucas, you mentioned that you have talked with both Steve Yzerman and Chris Draper tonight and leading up to tonight's draft. What were the conversations like with both of them?
No, they've been good. Today was I was extremely happy, and they were happy to have me as well. And leading up, I have had good conversations as well, and have a really good feeling. But right now, after it's been more kind of a just trying to talk, see what things at, and just enjoy the night.
During the course of you being scouted, was it Chris Draper? Was it Steve Yzerman? Was it Håkan Andersson? Who were you in most contact with during this process from the Red Wings?
Yeah, I'd say mostly Håkan and Chris as well. But I mean, Håkan is a Swede, and me as well. So I've talked to him a lot, and some with Chris as well.
One last question for you, and I'm sure Art will have another one, but I'm going to give you one more. What are you looking forward to most about being a part of the Red Wings organization?
Well, it's extremely honoring. I mean, Detroit is a original six team, a really classic team. Watched them growing up and have a lot of great players. So I'm really excited to get into Detroit. I've got a really good feeling about the city as well when I was there. So I'm just looking forward to getting there and start playing.
Now, I'm kind of curious if they haven't, they're going to. Nick Lidstrom, Thomas Holmstrom, Henrik Zetterberg, Michael Samuelsson. I mean, it's a long list of guys I could say that are Swedish that have worn the red and white, have worn that winged wheel jersey. Are you looking forward to forging relationships with these guys? And are you looking forward to talking to them and having them relate their experiences as Red Wings to you?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to talk to me, I would be extremely excited. I mean, it's like you said, they're Swedish legends, and especially in Detroit. And so that would be extremely fun and extremely valuable as well. So yeah.
Lucas, thank you so much for staying up so late, especially when you probably have practice tomorrow morning. We appreciate it. Thank you for chatting with us, and we are very excited to have you here in Detroit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited too.
Lucas Raymond, everybody, the 4th overall pick for the Detroit Red Wings. We're now going to bring back Ken and Carley and talk a little bit about what Lucas had to say. Ken, we'll start with you. What did you think about the young Lucas Raymond?
Well, we were always talking about, putting on some weight and, getting a little bit stronger, but it seems to me like it doesn't bother him. And I guess that's a good thing. He's pretty confident in his skill set. So that's something that, I really didn't think about, but it just seems to me that was a good natural, answer to that question. What I really wanted to ask him was the adjustment that he might have playing in a North American rinks. Now, I know he's done that in tournaments, but, he's on the bigger ice surface over in Sweden. So that'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to that. But again, his game, it seems to me, like he said, is a speed game. And if you've got speed and you can skate in the National Hockey League, you can definitely play in the league.
Carley, what did you think?
Very well-spoken guy. I mean, 18, 19 years old. Very well-spoken guy. English is not his first language, so got to give him props for that. But again, before I get into that, Art, that joke was hilarious. Yeah. He said he was putting on some pounds. I was over here. I wonder if you guys heard me laughing in the background. But
no, you know what? I have to interrupt you, Carley, because I did hear you laughing, and you have one of those laughs where it's like every time I hear it, I also laugh. So I was trying really hard to hold it in.
Art always gets me. But very well-spoken kid. I'm excited to see him. And I it was awesome that he added some weight. He's already working on those things. And when you guys asked him, here are some critiques that we're hearing just around the hockey world about this pick. Quickly just shut him down, was just very mellow about it. I like that level-headed guy. Looking on social media, people, again, like we were with Mo Sider, we've been saying this whole time, they're wondering, okay, well, where did this kid come from? But I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for Lucas Raymond to enter the Detroit Red Wings organization and for everyone to be like, that's why. Again, trust the Yzer plan. Steve Yzerman knows what he's doing. Excited to have another Swedish player on the Detroit, in the Detroit Red Wings organization. Because, guys, it worked out for us the past how many years now? It would never fail. So it'll be very nice to see him in a winged wheel sweater. Hopefully someday very soon.
Art, I had to laugh, and you got a chuckle out of Lucas Raymond when you're talking about the weight that you put on, but it kind of reminds me of the story of when you and I were doing radio. We were doing our Inside Hockey Town show one year, and that's when Dominic Hasek came out with his clothing line. And
this is a great story.
And you were interviewing him about the clothing line, and you were saying, is this something that Ken and I could possibly wear? And Dominic just chuckled. He said, no, you don't have the athletic body.
No, he did. It's for active people. Hey, man, come on, Dom.
You run your mouth a lot, so you're active in that.
Probably deserved it. What did you say to him before that?
We were in the store in Birmingham. Remember, Ken? We were in the back room interviewing him, and he comes out with that one. I was like, yeah, okay, Dom. Yeah. Well, hey, by the way, shouldn't you have been retired like last season?
Yeah. Oh.
But you know what it was? It was the chuckle that he had that just cracked me.
No, it was really funny. Dom was a great guy. That was pretty hilarious. So, yeah, I'll never forget that either. No, that's for active people. You do not have the athletic bodies.
And Art, will you forget your first interview with Lucas Raymond when he's hoisting the Stanley Cup one day?
No, you know what? I'll tell you what I really did like about him. First of all, doesn't he look, and I know it's on a Zoom call, he looks a little heavier than 161. I mean, I thought we were going to see this, this wisp of a human being.
Well, television puts on weight, I guess.
Right. In my case, it certainly does.
Yeah, puts on 10 pounds, yeah.
Kenny and I, Don, we can get into your clothes.
Great news,
I promise.
guys. Great to tell us while Carly and I are live right now. Great news.
You guys always look good.
Yeah, you really do. I was pretty impressed with him. The thing that I like, and Ken, you can attest to this, everybody that we have talked to that is really a special player, a high draft pick, one thing that they all have is confidence. And I think you could see that in Lucas Raymond. He has confidence. Now, I know I kept pressing him about, even on the Zoom call when I apologize to everybody on that Zoom call. I didn't know that, I was feedbacking the whole Zoom call there for a little while, but that was corrected. You just hit that mute button. It works wonders. But with that said, what I really liked about him was what was really, really good about Lucas Raymond was how confident he is and how he said, well, I'm looking at the fall of 2021, coming to training camp and winning a spot on the Red Wing roster. What's he going to be, 19 years old, maybe barely 20? I mean, that's what you like to hear. When you hear that and you hear somebody that says, yeah, okay, people said that I'm only 161 pounds. I put on some pounds this summer. He's ready to go. He has the confidence. He is a playmaker. You heard it himself. He said he's a little more of a playmaker than a shooter. That's why I chose Holtz over him initially, but how can you not like this kid? First of all, he's Swedish. The Red Wings have a long history with Swedish players, and it's a good history with Swedish players. Every Swedish player that Detroit has ever really had for any length of time really does perform well in a Red Wing uniform. I think he's on the long list. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing him on the power play. I liked what he said about the power play. He didn't tip his cap so much, but he did say there's various ways to run a power play. I think he knows all those various ways. And by God, doggone it, he's going to do all those various ways too. So, Lucas Raymond, hey man, good pick. Steve, you outsmarted me and Kenny again.
Only for the 100th time. No, as a player and now as a GM. So he's done it all.
As a player, he was always running. Sorry, guys, love to talk to you. Got to get going.
You know what? One of the concerns I had, and before we even knew where the Red Wings were or who they were going to pick, one of the concerns I had was, the Red Wings have a lot of these make and play first kind of guys and guys that don't shoot the puck. Well, some of these guys I think on the Red Wings have to learn now to start shooting the puck. I mean, if you're going to get a playmaker like a Lucas Raymond that's going to get you the puck, guys like Anthony Mantha, guys like Svechnikov, guys like Rasmussen. If he makes the club, he's going to be big and strong in front of the net. They've got to have a shoot-first mentality. And again, it's all about numbers. And, if a goalie save percentage is 90%, that means if you're a shooter and you shoot 10 pucks out of the net, you're going to score at least one goal. So, you got guys that can give you and distribute the puck. Now we got to see these guys, like I mentioned, like a Mantha or someone like that, and a Bertuzzi. When they get the puck, don't look to pass, shoot the puck, and score some goals.
I couldn't agree more with Ken on that. I really would like to see him and Philip Zadina team up. Mm-hmm. If he can get Philip Zadina the puck, Zadina's going to shoot.
Exactly.
And that's what they need. And let's throw Robbie Fabre into the mix, even though I think the Red Wings are going to put him into a second line center role and give him every opportunity. Robbie Fabre too is a guy we've seen who can shoot and shoots and very, very accurate shooter. You have a guy like a little like Lucas Raymond, who's going all over the ice and is a playmaker and very speed, has a lot of speed. Well, maybe you can't catch him. Maybe that's why he doesn't. It's kind of like, and I'm going to say this especially for Daniella and Kenny here, like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders wasn't the biggest guy either, but you couldn't catch him. He had low center of gravity. Maybe Lucas Raymond's one of those guys. He's just dipsing and doodling all over that ice and making plays. If that's the case, then this is a tremendous pick. So he says 2021. I believe him. I think we're going to see him in 2021.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, and you have to think, Carly, you can kind of comment on this one too, that was in the back of Steve Yzerman's mind, or should I really say the front of Steve Yzerman's mind, when they're thinking about who they're going to take, talking about Alexander Holtz being the pure goal scorer and then Lucas Raymond being more of the playmaker. He obviously has faith in the guys on his team right now can obviously become goal scorers and shoot the puck, shoot first mentality.
We know guys, as we've been saying this whole time, like Bertuzzi, Mantha, and a name that Art just mentioned that we should be mentioning all show long is Robbie Fabre. These are goal scorers, but they didn't capitalize on the opportunities that they had this season. I feel like that was just a season-long topic that we have been talking about. But again, these guys, these core goal scorers, wow, a tongue twister, that we have already on the team. I mean, we could have used another one, but now in having a playmaker, could he fit into the team? And again, like we've been saying, maybe he won't just come right up to the Detroit Red Wings. It may be a couple of years down the line. So now let's look at the younger players or guys that are on the Griffins. Why don't we look at their core? Because maybe he will develop with them and will come up with them. So it's one of those, it's almost like math. You got to kind of look at that and plug people in. And it's a game of math or a game of Tetris. I mean, you really just have to see how everything fits and how it'll all work out and run smoothly for this organization.
Carly, don't compare it to math, because we both know how my math skills
way more fun than math. I'll say that much.
Definitely.
The other thing I was looking at too is, maybe we're talking about these goal scorers. Maybe in the front of Steve Yzerman's mind, maybe that's what he's going to look at. Perhaps with the 9 remaining picks that the Red Wings have in this draft, maybe there are guys that he's already scouted and his scouts have already scouted that could fit those roles, that could fit in. Let's face it, Kucherov's a pretty good scorer, and he drafted him, and he didn't go in the first round, but maybe Steve has his eye on a couple of guys that might fit that bill of being a shooter, and now all of a sudden, in a couple of years, you've got a pretty good mix on the team.
Kucherov, as you mentioned, I think he was drafted 58th. 50-something overall.
I want to say 54th, but I think you might be right.
50-something in 2011. He's my age. And, you look at what he just did. I mean, he hoisted a Stanley Cup, and that is someone that Steve Yzerman drafted. So, you really got to look at what Steve Yzerman has done for a team like Tampa Bay Lightning and apply it to the Detroit Red Wings organization. Maybe we're a few years down the line from hoisting a Stanley Cup, but we're close.
All right, you guys. Well, that does it for the 2020 NHL Draft Show presented by Labatt Blue Light. It has been great having you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Make sure you're tuning in to the rest of the draft on NBC Sports Network, and we will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. live on all Red Wings social media and DetroitRedWings.com with a first round recap. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it, and go Wings.